Humans, by nature, are considered social beings, aren't they? From the moment we are born, we learn that connection is the foundation of life and that interaction between people is the source of happiness. But let's be honest, why does being surrounded by others sometimes feel like our energy is being drained, as if it's escaping through an invisible filter? This is not uncommon. In fact, there are times when we not only feel uncomfortable around a specific person, but practically everyone around us. It's not rare to hear someone say they hate people. Not just specific individuals, but humanity as a whole. Maybe you don't hold a misanthropic view, but you've certainly experienced exhaustion, hurt, or even deep disappointment due to society's invisible pressures. Pressures to act, smile, converse, and keep a dialogue going even when your energy is already depleted. Or maybe it's the frustration with shallow conversations that barely scratch the surface while your mind craves something deeper. Stoic philosophy, with its timeless wisdom, does not see this as merely a passing state. On the contrary, it explores 5 significant reasons that explain why you might feel an aversion to social interactions. Let's embark on this journey of understanding together, not just to make sense of these feelings, but also to recognize that the need for personal space is an essential and valuable part of life. Number 1. Trust issues. Trust is like a vase. Once broken, it can be repaired, but it will never be the same. This reflection resonates deeply with those who have felt the pain of betrayal. From the perspective of Stoic philosophy, trust is both a fragile gift and a calculated risk. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If anyone can prove to me that what I think or do is not right, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, and no one was ever harmed by the truth." His words remind us that trust, like truth, requires clarity, resilience, and patience. Trust is the invisible thread that connects us to others, but its strength can easily unravel. In the delicate balance of relationships, trust can be given carefully, yet it can also shatter with the slightest mistake. For many, the pain of betrayal becomes a turning point, a bitter lesson that reshapes their view of human nature. Stoic philosophy teaches that while external events like betrayal are beyond our control, our response to them is entirely in our hands. The real challenge is dealing with the emotions that arise after disappointment, feelings like fear, anger, and insecurity, which cloud our reasoning. The scars left by betrayal go beyond the act itself. What hurts is not just what happened, but the lingering echoes of doubt that remain. Someone who once believed in people's goodness may begin to question the intentions behind every smile, every word, and every gesture. A true friendship can be like a castle built on trust and shared experiences. Imagine 2 close friends who promise to support each other through life's toughest moments. One of them, with great courage, opened up, sharing their deepest fears and secrets never before revealed. They believed this friendship was a safe haven, a space where their most fragile emotions would be embraced and protected. But on an unexpected day, they discovered that their friend had broken that promise, distorting their confidences for personal gain. This act not only destroyed the relationship, but also left deep scars on the heart of the one betrayed. It wasn't just the loss of a friend, it was the loss of faith in oneself. They began to doubt their own ability to judge people, wondering if they would ever be able to trust again. In the end, they realized that sometimes, betrayal by those closest to us becomes the bitterest lesson about friendship and trust. Disappointment doesn't just affect how we see others, it also forces us to confront internal doubts. When someone we trusted proves unworthy, we start questioning our own instincts. Why didn't I see this before? Am I incapable of distinguishing good from bad? This internal battle can paralyze a person, leading them to withdraw from meaningful relationships, not out of indifference, but out of fear. From a Stoic perspective, this withdrawal might seem like an attempt to control external factors, but in reality, it reflects the difficulty in managing one's internal reactions. As Epictetus wrote, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." To regain peace, one must look inward, confronting the fears and biases that make it difficult to build genuine connections. The consequences of lost trust often manifest as hypersensitivity. People who struggle with trust become overly cautious, analyzing every interaction for hidden motives. A simple prolonged glance or a subtle change in tone of voice can spark suspicion. Consider the case of Livia, a woman who confided in a friend about her struggles with anxiety. Months later, she overheard that same friend discussing her situation with others, devoid of empathy. From that moment on, Livia hesitated before opening up to anyone, scrutinizing every word and action of the friend she had left, always searching for signs of betrayal. This vigilance, while understandable, prevented her from forming the deep bonds she longed for. Even those who are extremely cautious about trust still crave authentic connections. They want relationships built on respect, understanding, and sincerity. However, this desire is often held back by the fear of being hurt again, a fear deeply rooted in past wounds. Stoic philosophy encourages us to face this fear with courage and reason, reminding us that vulnerability is not weakness but a testament to our humanity. Rebuilding trust is a challenging process that requires patience, self-awareness, and selective openness. This process begins with small steps, sharing something simple, observing how it is received, and gradually increasing openness as trust strengthens. After all, trust is built through authentic moments and tested in adversity. Consider the case of João, a man deeply scarred by betrayal in a past relationship. The disappointment made him question whether he could ever trust again. Years later, upon meeting someone new, he decided to take a different approach. Instead of opening up completely right away, he allowed trust to develop gradually, balancing transparency with discernment. Over time, he realized that while the risk of betrayal still existed, the rewards of a true relationship outweighed the fear. It is essential to understand that protecting oneself from emotional wounds is a natural and legitimate instinct. Stoic philosophy advises that not everyone is worthy of our trust and that evaluating people carefully is wise. However, this self-preservation must not become a prison. Adopting a Stoic mindset helps us differentiate between prudence and complete isolation. The philosopher Seneca guides us with his words, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This reflection also applies to trust. True poverty of the soul does not lie in being selective with trust, but in allowing fear to deprive us of the richness of human relationships. As we move from the issue of trust to the second major challenge, insecurity, a deeper reflection arises. What if our distrust of others is actually a reflection of our own insecurities? Number 2. Low self-esteem. There are times when the discomfort of being around others does not come from them but from yourself. It's that persistent voice in your mind whispering that you are not good enough, not interesting enough, that you don't deserve other people's attention. On the outside, you may appear calm, even confident, but inside, a storm of insecurity convinces you that every social interaction is a minefield of judgment and rejection. Admitting this is not easy. You replay past conversations over and over, analyzing every word, every glance, every awkward silence, convinced that you exposed some unforgivable flaw. Did they find me boring? Did they notice my forced laugh? Did I say something stupid? These thoughts loop endlessly, draining your energy and making you dread the next social encounter. This psychological cycle often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you withdraw from people, the more disconnected you feel. And the more disconnected you feel, the harder it becomes to reintegrate. Like a bird that has spent so much time in a cage that it begins to mistake isolation for safety, without realizing the door has always been open. The Stoics remind us of a fundamental truth. The stories we tell ourselves shape how we perceive the world. Your fear of others' judgment does not come from reality, but from a narrative your mind has created, one that has gone unquestioned for too long. If you can silence this voice, you will realize that the world is much less harsh than your mind makes it seem. Consider the story of Helena, a young professional who avoids networking events at all costs. To others, she appears confident. She has an impressive resume, communicates clearly, and has a smile that lights up any room. But inside, her mind is a battlefield. She replays every conversation, dissecting every detail. Did I take too long to answer that question? Did my hand shake when I greeted that person? At one particular event, Helena decided to confront her fear and attended an intimate company dinner. Throughout the night, she remained on the sidelines, holding a glass of water while her colleagues chatted naturally. But at the end of the evening, a senior executive approached her. To her surprise, he praised a recent project she had worked on and expressed admiration for her innovative ideas. That moment was a turning point. The executive did not see the insecurity Helena felt. On the contrary, he saw her strengths. It was then that she realized her intense self-criticism was preventing her from seeing the respect and appreciation others had for her. Helena's story illustrates a crucial Stoic principle. Much of our suffering is self-inflicted, the result of an unchecked internal narrative. To overcome this, we must recognize that these critical thoughts are not truths, they are just thoughts. When you pause and question them, their power weakens. A useful Stoic practice for dealing with self-criticism is the view from above. Imagine your life as part of a vast set of human experiences. From this broader perspective, the judgments of others, or your fear of them, become insignificant. The next time insecurity arises, stop and ask yourself, will this still matter a month from now? Or a year from now? The answer, most of the time, will be no. The struggle with insecurity is not unique to you. It is part of the shared human experience. But the good news is that you have the power to change this narrative. Remember, the world is much less critical than your mind makes it seem. People are, more often than not, understanding, forgiving, and preoccupied with their own lives more than you think. How do you break this cycle? Start with small steps. Have the courage to take actions that push you out of your comfort zone. Start a conversation, schedule a coffee meeting with someone, or simply smile at a stranger. Each small courageous action is like a hammer blow breaking down the cage you built for yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If something external disturbs you, the pain does not come from the thing itself, but from the importance you give it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Now, let's turn this into a dialogue. Have you ever felt trapped by insecurity in social situations? How have you dealt with it, or what steps are you taking to overcome it? Share your experiences in the comments. Your story could be the key to helping someone find their own way. Number 3. Social anxiety. Social anxiety goes beyond shyness. It is an intense psychological battle, where every interaction feels like a threat to one's very identity. For those who struggle with this condition, even preparing for a simple meeting can feel like a fight against fear and heightened insecurity. It manifests through subtle yet overwhelming signs. It starts with physical symptoms: a racing heart, sweaty hands, difficulty maintaining eye contact. Internally, the mind becomes a relentless critic, analyzing every word, gesture, or mistake before, during, and after the interaction. Did I speak too loudly? Did my laugh sound weird? Did they notice my hands trembling while holding the glass? This excessive self-awareness can make a person feel isolated even in the middle of a crowd, as if they were merely a spectator of their own life, unable to fully participate. The effects of social anxiety go beyond the psychological. They deeply impact emotional well-being. Many who suffer from this issue fall into a vicious cycle of avoidance. They decline invitations, steer clear of opportunities, and isolate themselves to escape the discomfort of possible judgment. However, this avoidance offers only temporary relief, leading to long-term consequences such as a loss of confidence, deterioration of social skills, and an increasing sense of loneliness. A striking example is Charles Darwin, one of the great names in science. Few know that he struggled with severe social anxiety. In his letters, he reveals himself as a man who avoided public events whenever possible and suffered intensely from physical symptoms during social interactions. Yet, his isolation ultimately became an advantage. By distancing himself from social pressures, he found the clarity needed to develop his revolutionary ideas. His story shows us that while social anxiety can be an obstacle, it can also serve as a reminder to focus on what truly matters. But what about those who cannot simply withdraw? Those whose responsibilities, work, family, dreams, require them to face the complexities of human relationships despite their anxiety? How can they balance the need for connection with the desire to avoid it? To deal with social anxiety, it is essential to understand its origins. It often stems from past experiences, moments of embarrassment, rejection, or public ridicule. These painful memories, like scars on the soul, become triggers for anxiety. With each new interaction, a past mistake may be magnified in the mind, creating the fear that history will repeat itself. However, the Stoics teach us not to see the past as a chain that binds us, but as a lesson that frees us. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Social anxiety thrives on the fear of others' judgment, but by shifting our focus inward and viewing past experiences as opportunities for growth, we can gradually break this cycle. Hope lies in realizing that the world is rarely as critical as an anxious mind imagines. Most people are too absorbed in their own lives to be constantly judging others. Below are some steps that can help break this pattern. Step 1. Gradual exposure to fear. Start by taking small, manageable steps that gradually push you outside your comfort zone. Attend a short event or gathering where you don't have to stay for long, make a simple phone call to someone you trust, or initiate a brief conversation with a stranger or acquaintance. These small, non-threatening interactions will allow you to build confidence little by little. As you experience each successful interaction, you'll notice how your anxiety starts to lessen, and your ability to handle similar situations grows stronger. Step 2. Practice self-compassion. When you feel anxiety creeping in, resist the urge to criticize yourself. Instead, be gentle and kind to yourself as you would to a close friend. Acknowledge that you're taking steps toward improvement, and that it's okay to feel uncomfortable at times. Rather than focusing on what went wrong, celebrate what you did right. Every attempt, no matter how small, is a victory in itself. By showing self-compassion, you reduce the pressure you place on yourself and allow room for growth. Step 3. Seek support. Managing anxiety doesn't have to be done alone. Reach out to someone you trust, whether it's a therapist, a support group, or a close friend. Talking about your feelings and fears can help you feel heard and understood, easing the burden of anxiety. Sometimes, just knowing that others have your back can make a world of difference in reducing fear and building emotional resilience. Support systems are crucial in helping you navigate challenges with more confidence. Step 4. Focus on the purpose of the interaction. Instead of fixating on your insecurities during an interaction, try to shift your focus to the purpose of the conversation itself. Consider what you hope to achieve and the value of connecting with the other person. Whether it's exchanging ideas, learning something new, or simply engaging in a positive social interaction, concentrating on the purpose will help you stop worrying about how you're being perceived. The more you focus on the value of the interaction, the more natural and meaningful your connections will feel. Ask yourself, what can I contribute in this moment? This aligns with Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on our actions and intentions rather than on factors beyond our control. By adopting these strategies, it becomes possible to approach human relationships with greater ease and confidence. The power of intentional solitude. For many people, the natural response to social anxiety is seeking isolation. While excessive loneliness can be harmful, intentional solitude can be a powerful tool for reflection and renewal. In this space, we can engage in an internal dialogue and ask fundamental questions based on Stoic principles. What truly matters to me? How can I align my actions with my values? Solitude is also fertile ground for creativity and self-discovery. An anxious mind can find peace when freed from the fear of judgment. Balancing moments of solitude with small social interactions allows one to maintain personal identity while strengthening self-confidence. For deeper reflection, ask yourself, which past moments have shaped my fear of being judged? How can I reinterpret those experiences through a Stoic lens? By reflecting on these questions, it is possible to shift the mindset from fear to curiosity and growth. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the principle of self-respect. In a world where external validation often overshadows inner peace, the Stoics remind us of the importance of prioritizing inner serenity over the approval of others. This is especially relevant for those who suffer from social anxiety and frequently feel the need to please others, even at the cost of their own tranquility. The goal is not to completely eradicate social anxiety, but to learn to navigate it with serenity and resilience. By practicing Stoic virtues such as courage, wisdom, and self-control, we can transform vulnerability into strength and embrace our imperfections with greater confidence. Although it may seem like an insurmountable obstacle, social anxiety can be seen as a call to reconnect with oneself, to seek meaning in solitude, and to return to the world with newfound purpose and dignity. Number 4. Spending time with the wrong people. On life's journey, every interaction leaves a mark on our soul. However, when we choose to surround ourselves with the wrong people, these marks can turn into scars, wearing down our self-esteem, mental clarity, and inner peace. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." This wisdom highlights the importance of choosing our companions wisely, especially for those who struggle with social anxiety, a silent yet intense battle that is often worsened by the presence of the wrong people. Social anxiety is not just shyness, it is a constant mental struggle, where every interaction feels like a test. For those who face this challenge, being surrounded by the wrong people only amplifies their suffering. Imagine walking into an environment where the air feels heavy with judgment. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and every word you say feels scrutinized. Later, when you're alone, your mind replays every moment, analyzing gestures, tones, and silences, asking, "Did I seem weird? Did I say something wrong?" Being around people who criticize without empathy, dismiss your opinions, or minimize your feelings can make these symptoms even worse. These individuals create an atmosphere that heightens social anxiety, leaving you emotionally drained and questioning your own worth. Instead of fostering growth, these interactions fuel a cycle of self-doubt and overanalysis. Spending time with the wrong people can have serious consequences. The constant need to navigate toxic dynamics drains your energy, leading to emotional exhaustion and social withdrawal. Many people end up isolating themselves to avoid further distress, but this can weaken social skills and erode confidence. The wrong company intensifies feelings of disconnection, increasing the gap between you and the world around you. Consider the story of James, a young professional who was part of a friend group where sarcasm and mockery were common. Whenever he voiced an opinion, he was met with dismissive laughter or sharp comments disguised as jokes. Over time, James stopped sharing his thoughts and began avoiding social gatherings, feeling increasingly insecure. He started believing he was overly sensitive and incapable of handling light-hearted teasing. Only when he distanced himself from this group and sought healthier relationships did he realize how much those friendships had been harming his happiness and personal growth. The Stoics teach that solitude can be a refuge, not a punishment. In silence, we can reflect, heal wounds, and realign with our values. Seneca reminds us, "Associate with those who can make you better." If the wrong friend breeds anxiety and self-doubt, solitude offers the opposite, a space to develop self-awareness and strengthen mental resilience. This does not mean isolating yourself permanently, but rather learning to appreciate your own company. By stepping away from toxic relationships, you regain the energy once wasted on negativity. This energy can be redirected toward activities that nourish your soul, such as creative hobbies, mindfulness practices, or enriching books. The path to overcoming social anxiety while avoiding harmful influences begins with small, intentional steps. Acknowledge your feelings. Accept that it is normal to feel discomfort around certain people. This self-awareness is the first step toward change. Set boundaries. Protect your mental health by limiting interactions with those who drain your energy. Politely but firmly decline invitations that feel more like an obligation than an opportunity for joy. Practice self-compassion. Replace self-criticism with kindness. Remember that everyone makes social missteps, and these moments do not define your worth. Seek support. Surround yourself with people who respect your journey, whether it's a therapist, a trusted friend, or a supportive community. Building healthy connections is essential. Gradual exposure. Strengthen your confidence by engaging in low-risk social interactions. Over time, these positive experiences can reshape your perception of socializing. Balancing social interactions with moments of solitude requires wisdom and intention. When you choose to be around people who inspire and uplift you, you create a harmonious balance between community and individuality. Toxic people may try to pull you into their chaos, but by practicing Stoic principles, you can preserve your inner tranquility. Remember, choosing solitude over toxicity is an act of self-respect. As you become more selective with your relationships, your alone time transforms into a source of strength rather than loneliness. As you reflect on this topic, ask yourself, are there people in your life who leave you feeling drained rather than uplifted? What steps can you take to prioritize your mental and emotional well-being? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever faced challenges related to social anxiety or toxic relationships? How did you overcome them? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire others to seek healthier connections and embrace the power of solitude. Number 5. You are an introvert. There is a saying that solitude is not just the state of being alone, but also a space where the soul finds itself. In a fast-paced world where people are constantly swept up in the whirlwind of social interactions, solitude is not easily accepted. However, for introverts, it is essential, a way to reconnect with themselves, listen to their inner voice, and preserve their spiritual energy. They do not avoid people. They simply do not feel the need to be constantly immersed in crowds. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius stated, "Nowhere can a man find a calmer or more peaceful retreat than in his own soul." It is in this inner silence that introverts find strength. For them, solitude is not the negative state that society often misinterprets, but rather a space of freedom, where the mind can expand without constraints, exploring the deepest corners of thoughts and emotions. Imagine a quiet environment, soft lighting, and the perfect private space. In this atmosphere, the introvert does not feel loneliness. On the contrary, they experience the most genuine connection with themselves. It is a relief from social pressure, a place where they do not need to conform to external expectations or force a version of themselves that does not reflect their true essence. A real-life story illustrates this reality well. Renowned writer Haruki Murakami revealed that he spends most of his time in solitude, writing. He does not concern himself with how others perceive his seclusion, as it allows him to dive deeply into his inner universe, bringing works such as Norwegian Wood and Kafka on the shore to life. For him, solitude is not an obstacle but a tool to connect with the depths of his soul. Introverts do not seek superficial and fleeting interactions. What they truly value are authentic and meaningful connections, conversations where emotions and thoughts are shared sincerely. However, moments like these are rare. In most social interactions, topics are fleeting, changing quickly without leaving a lasting impact. Just like extroverts, introverts also feel the weight of social interactions. For them, it is not just a matter of time but also mental energy. A casual conversation can be more draining than an entire day of work. And if the outcome is only polite smiles or shallow stories, they question whether the encounter was worth it. A clear example of this is the story of Susan Cain, author of the book Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. She shared that she felt exhausted after attending large conferences. Instead of forcing herself into unnecessary social interactions, she chose to retreat to her private space and recharge. This conscious decision to protect her essence allowed her to maintain the focus necessary to produce her work and give a voice to the introverted community. The modern world seems ill-suited for introverts. The culture of extroversion, dynamism, and noise imposes an invisible pressure on them. When they do not participate in group activities or become the center of attention, they are often labeled as shy or arrogant. But what society fails to see is that, within an introvert, there exists a rich universe, where thoughts and dreams develop like shining galaxies. The story of Emily Dickinson, one of the greatest poets of all time, is an example of this. Dickinson lived a reclusive life, rarely leaving her home. Instead of engaging in social events, she devoted her time to writing, immersing herself in her inner world. Her poetry, little recognized in her time, became symbols of depth and sophistication, proving that isolation is not a withdrawal from the world, but a journey to discover one's true essence. Introverts do not withdraw from society out of fear or disdain, but rather to protect what they hold most valuable. In a noisy and chaotic world, they understand that only in solitude can they reconnect with who they truly are. For them, being alone does not mean being isolated, but rather a path back to themselves. The philosopher Seneca said, "It is not the one who has little, but the one who desires more that is poor." Introverts do not seek an abundance of relationships. Instead, they deeply appreciate the connections they have, finding joy in quietness and depth. If the world sees them as distant, they accept this perception because they know deep down, they do not need to prove their worth to others. They understand that solitude is not a lack but a fullness that arises from living authentically. Understanding why you feel uncomfortable in the presence of others is an important step towards self-awareness and personal growth. From a Stoic perspective, we explore 5 common reasons for this feeling, which may include an appreciation for solitude, sensitivity to the energy of others, or difficulty dealing with social expectations. These reflections show that such feelings are not only normal but can also transform into opportunities to strengthen resilience, cultivate wisdom, and live authentically. Applying these teachings can help you approach social interactions with more intentionality, serenity, and meaning. Now we'd love to hear from you. Reflect on the themes discussed in this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Use the keywords solitude, overload, connection, and stoicism. Which one resonates with you the most? How do you apply Stoic principles in your everyday life? If this video was helpful to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more inspiring content for a life with more purpose. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. And before you go, check out the recommended videos at the end of this presentation to delve even deeper into Stoic philosophy and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.